All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Wednesday, October 22nd, 8 a.m. I will say this. You guys are very rudely interrupting me. I mean, here I am just trying to mind my own business on a Wednesday morning, listening to some fantastic reggae, some 70s and 80s roots, and then, it turns 8 o'clock and now I got to come do a show. So, not happy with everybody already on the chat. Just completely ruining my rhythm that I had. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. No, I'm just kidding, you guys. Love doing the show with you guys, and obviously we got a lot to react to today. Couple things I'm going to just say here right out the gate. By the way, this is one of those days too where it's just like I got pages of notes too. When did I start taking all these pages of notes here? There's pages of. Thank you for being a part of the show. We got a packed show today. Obviously, a lot to talk about. A lot to react to from opening night last night, Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Finally, we got some regular season action. We got a lot of things to react to. I was thinking about this yesterday. So I was there for the home opener. I've never seen more media members at an NBA basketball game, but that's what happens when it's the Lakers, obviously opening night. A lot of people in the house yesterday, but no surprise, a lot of attention towards the game. And if I got to be completely honest with you, I'm not really that surprised that they lost to the Golden State Warriors. I'm really not. I got my topics all lined up for everybody. I got comments that I'm going to be reading. I went back to the postgame show this morning as well. I put up the postgame show last night, and I wrote some comments of just some of the things that I think stood out the most. There was certain themes that was going on where either fans were complaining about not taking the preseason serious enough, role players, too reliant on Luka. So I was able to kind of get a lot of reaction from the postgame show as well. So let me give everyone a quick rundown. Cheers to everybody real quick as well. Yeah, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Everything's going to be okay. The season didn't just end after they lost one game, even though without looking at the comments, people are going to say the season's already over. And it wouldn't have been a championship run if they won last night. Let me take a deep breath. Have a little bit of coffee, go listen to some roots reggae from the 70s and the 80s, and everything's going to be all right. Okay, let me give everyone a quick rundown of the show, and then I'll look at a few comments. We'll get started. So, will there be an overreaction? Sure. Are there going to be a lot of people overreacting to the loss? Sure. Are there a lot of things that I watched last night that is very, very concerning and it's fair to overreact? Yes, I agree with you. Where I would overreact with the Lakers is if they're 5 games in and they're 1-4, or they're 10 games in and they're 3-7. I'm not going to overreact to 0-1, but I do think there are things that we saw yesterday that we can overreact to. Luka Doncic, amazing yesterday. From a statistical perspective, amazing yesterday. You ain't winning many games if you're depending that much on one player. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Too reliant on Luka. Everything. I mean, you go watch the Golden State Warriors, how they play and just their methodology of how they're successful. You cannot rely on one player like that and hope to be successful over time. Debuts yesterday for Ayton, Marcus Smart, and Jake LaRavia. We'll look at all 3 of those players, what we thought of them in their debuts. Remember when we were all talking about Gabe Vincent and Jared Vanderbilt in the preseason? Do you remember talking about Gabe Vincent and Jared Vanderbilt yesterday? Because I don't. Because there was nothing to talk about with them. They're a topic in themselves. We'll spend some time on those 2 players. Impact of no LeBron. I think one of the themes that I'm going to have on this show until LeBron comes back, and really for this entire season, for those who want the LeBron chapter to end, well, it's not ending because he's under contract for the rest of this year. For those that think, well, let's just flip LeBron and go get a couple other players, ain't happening. And then for those that really understand the type of impact he can have on the Lakers, I think last night is just kind of a little bit of a sneak peek of like, yeah, that you can use LeBron in a lot of these situations. And then you could get other guys to go back on the bench. And now all of a sudden the bench is a little bit stronger. There is a trickle effect of not having LeBron. We'll talk about that from yesterday as well. And then I got a couple things around the NBA. What a game, Houston and OKC. Houston, OKC, the only thing that I didn't like about that game is I wasn't sitting on my couch getting a chance to actually sit and watch and enjoy a game. I think you guys know this as well. Anytime you go to a sporting event, I'm not complaining that I was at the Lakers game yesterday. But anytime you go to a sporting event, it's just not the same. You're not really hearing the broadcasters. You can't really fully focus. It's just different. So yesterday, that game was so good between Houston and OKC. I was like, man, this one of those games I wish I was sitting on my couch. I was getting a chance to enjoy it. So we'll be able to do that as well. I teased this a little bit yesterday. Got some news coming out a little bit later today. And it's going to be really good news for the channel, for the show. So I'm looking forward to sharing with that with you guys. So just kind of keep an eye out later today. We'll just leave it at that. Keep an eye out later today. So I'll keep you guys posted on what that is, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys don't mind. Actually, I don't care if you mind. Subscribe to the damn channel. Okay? We need everybody here. We need everybody here. Let's take a look at a couple of the comments. All right, I'll come back to this. A little body language on LeBron. I'll come back to this. I've seen a few articles already out there, and we'll come back to it. All right, Slee Duran, by the way, thank you very much for being a member. I really, really appreciate it. Please consider being a member. Put up a video yesterday of Steph Curry for members, and then I put it public today so people get a chance to see it as well. How Golden State plays. What does this say for JJ? These guys have zero fluidity or any semblance of a system. What's the system? Yeah, there clearly is not a system at this point. And let's start the show. Let's go into some of our overreaction. I think this comment's going to get us into everything. Okay. I see a lot of people in the comments, and to be honest with you, I'm not surprised by it because I do think if you come to this channel Monday through Friday, you probably love basketball. And not just Lakers basketball, but you probably just love basketball and maybe enjoy getting a little bit more into the weeds of things. This is very, very clear with the Lakers. And I don't know if you guys remember when I was doing the show, it might have been yesterday morning or it might have been on Monday. And I said something to the effect like, are they ready? I mean, no way they're ready. How can you just build chemistry based off of playing nothing together in the preseason? I saw that being, if we're going to overreact a little bit, I'll tell you one angle that I'm going to overreact to. I'm not telling you that if the Lakers played all their guys for 6 preseason games for 48 minutes a night, they would have been ready last night and they would have beat the Golden State Warriors. But what I will tell you, if they played more than 2 games together and had more time to gain some continuity, I do think they could have looked better last night. Who did I hear say it? Maybe was it Ayton? Was it Rui? I'm not 100% sure. One of the players post-game said something to the effect. It was something to the effect of, you can do all this stuff in practice, but once you get into a real game situation, obviously it's a different story. So I think to go off of Durant's point here, what is the system? I don't think there is a system yet. And the reason why I don't think there's a system yet, because I watched the same game that you guys watched last night. There is no system. The system right now is give Luka Doncic the ball and just hope and pray that he can carry you. Well, there's a couple angles to that. Luka can carry you. I don't think anybody's questioning that, hey, can Luka carry the Lakers while LeBron's gone? I don't think anybody's questioning that. I'm not questioning that. What I'm telling you is that doesn't mean it's a winning recipe. I mean, you could have one player as phenomenal and as great as LeBron James is, or I'm sorry, as great as Luka Doncic is. At the end of the day, and I'm pulling up his stat sheet here just because I want to be able to point it out, Luka had 43, 12, and 9, and really the Lakers weren't in the game yesterday. And when I say they weren't in the game, yes, I know it's a 1-2 point game at halftime, but Golden State controlled the first half. Golden State controlled the third quarter where they outscored the Lakers by 10. Golden State always had this 6 to 10 point lead for pretty much the entire second half. That's what I mean by they really weren't in the game. So when you say what's the system, I don't think the Lakers have a system yet. I don't. I think they're going to try to figure that out on the fly. Here's what I can tell you. I don't think you can have sustained success if you're that dependent on one player. And listen, this isn't breaking news. I mean, I think the Lakers obviously understand that. I think not having LeBron out there has something to do with that as well. But that's just not going to be a winning recipe. It's especially not going to be a winning recipe when you play the Warriors. Why? Because the Warriors are they're a well-oiled machine. Even if you take some players out and put some players in, their identity is still the same. It's still the same owner. It's still the same CEO. It's still the same vice president. It's okay. Yeah, did we lose some employees? Did we bring in some new employees? Sure. But foundationally, they're still the same. And I don't think the Lakers have a foundation. I've said this before as well, and I really do genuinely believe it. And I love watching sports, and I love watching the NBA, and I definitely enjoy watching Lakers basketball. You cannot have success giving up 120 points. There's just no recipe for it. There isn't. So there is a system in Golden State, and I think the Lakers are going to be a work in progress as far as the system goes. And again, I'm not going to, I literally wrote it in my notes how people were talking about in the post-game comments that the Lakers did not respect the preseason. That was my only point. You know, when I was bitching and complaining about the preseason, my only point was like, I don't think this is going to properly prepare you for when the season starts, especially those first two games against two teams that will be in the playoffs, and they're going to be a headache in the West. Golden State will be a headache in the West if they're healthy. Not my favorite to go all the way, but they'll be a headache. The Minnesota Timberwolves on Friday are going to be a headache in the Western Conference. They're just going to be a headache in the West. Of course they are. They're not my pick to go all the way, but those are two teams that are going to be a headache, and they have continuity, and they understand what they're doing, and they understand their structure. I want to let me go back here real quick, and we'll take a look at the comments here in just a second. But let me go back real quick here on Luka. I don't think it's Luka's fault that the Lakers lost yesterday, but I do think that there has to be an unbelievable amount of effort to start games where it's not about Luka getting his. Because where the Lakers have really no chance is if their box score is this lopsided. Luka's giving you 40%, 45% of your offense, more than that. I mean, if you take his 43 plus his 9 assists, let's say 9 just equates to 18, there's 60 points right there. I'm not even accounting for any threes or maybe any passes that he made to lead to free throws. You're talking about over 60% of your offense is from one player. Here's the problem with that. And here's the problem that the Lakers are going to run into. And this is why I heard James Worthy say something in the postgame show I wildly agree with. But James Worthy said something like, he talked about wanting to see Luka be a facilitator early on just to get everybody else in a rhythm. What does it matter? Again, I want to make sure I'm saying something because I don't want this to come off the wrong way. I'm not saying Lakers lost the game yesterday because of Luka. That would be idiotic to say that. But what I am saying is they should be a little bit more strategic, because I'm going to tell you 43, 12, and 9, and nobody else, really has impact, is not going to lead to a W for the Lakers. Here's what will lead to a W for the Lakers. And Luka can't control Rui Hachimura, DeAndre Ayton, Gabe Vincent, and Jared Vanderbilt. He can't control all these other guys. All these other guys have to man up for themselves and find ways to, contribute. But here's how I think the Lakers can win without LeBron James. And this is my point about being too reliant on one player in Luka Doncic. The way the Lakers can win games is Luka dropped 30, but Ayton had 17, Rui had 16, Reeves had 22, Marcus Smart came in off the bench and had 11, Gabe had 11 as well. That's how they're going to have to win. And sometimes you're going to have certain players play well in certain nights, other players. Yesterday, I didn't think any role player had a significant impact, period. And Austin Reeves, I really wouldn't consider him a role player. I'd consider him, something more important than a role player. But to be completely honest with you, even his impact came towards the end where it felt like the game was really out of reach. So my initial just overreaction to the game is it's one game. I do think there's some glaring things that we saw in that first game for the Lakers that's like, all right, I don't know if they could correct this, or I don't know how much they can correct certain things until LeBron comes back. Well, LeBron's not coming back till mid-November. You're going to miss 10 to 15 games without LeBron James. Are most of the games going to look like this? I don't think so. I do think they will get better. I do think that they'll hover around and they'll be able to survive without LeBron. But obviously last night was not exactly the way that you wanted to see it. And I'm also not too shocked of, I think, the result. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here, and then I'll get into some of the other players because I didn't talk about any of the other players yet. We'll do that coming up as well. Let's see what we got here. Let me see. All right, let's start here. Slee, chat, welcome back to another NBA season. Good to see you. Good to see you too, brother. Good morning, and thank you for being here. I appreciate you coming in. All right, let's get another one here. If the scrubs could make some shots, Luka would have assets. Don't blame Luka to build whatever that says there. Yeah, I want you to – I'm going to go back to Luka here for a quick second. Luka's going to do everything he possibly can to keep Lakers in games. And like I just said, the only way Lakers are going to win games is if 5-6 guys are contributing. That's it. There's no way to fill in for LeBron. By the way, even if LeBron was playing, it would still be Luka getting 30, LeBron giving you 24, 25, Reeves doing this, other players, not just offensively, but getting stops and having roles. It will truly come down to everybody else. Luka can't force dudes to make shots or catch the ball. I think there's a little bit of people thinking that I'm blaming the loss on Luka. Not. I do think the Lakers can be more strategic with Luka, and Luka can be more strategic as well. And obviously that will come. That will come over time. All right, let's keep going here. Rob Pelinka, disgraceful. JJ, a joke of a coach. Look, this is what I'm looking for. It's when I say overreaction after the first game. These are the comments I'm looking for about my overreaction. Overreacting my ass. These are the ones I wait for. Yeah, you're overreacting a little bit, but let's be honest here. It's one preseason game. This is a phenomenal point. All this was evident during the preseason. I'm not overreacting. I knew this was going to happen. Okay? All right. Maybe people like the word overreaction. Maybe I chose the wrong word. Okay, let's kind of keep rolling here because we got a ton today. There were debuts last night for a couple Lakers, and there were a few people. By the way, I'm going to do predominantly Ayton on this one. Probably talk predominantly about DeAndre Ayton. There were players yesterday that we're going to get a chance to see for the first time in the regular season as a Laker. And there's going to be certain players that we're just going to – the way you talk about Jake LaRavia is going to be different than the way you talk about DeAndre Ayton. The way you talk about Dalton Connect, who I know is not making his debut and is a new player, is going to be different than probably the way you should be talking about Marcus Smart. So last night we had 3 different players making their debuts for the Lakers. And let me just kind of give you a I think the post game is a good reaction, kind of a good scope of what I felt like was people's initial reaction once that game ended yesterday. On Ayton, highly disappointed on DeAndre Ayton. A lot of people were highly disappointed on DeAndre Ayton and really didn't feel his impact. Okay, let me just put Ayton to the side and I'll come back to these guys. Marcus Smart. I thought Marcus Smart he had mistakes. He had turnovers. He had fouls that, what are you doing? I mean, his foul on Steph Curry where it looked like he was giving him an arm lock or something or whatever that's called, looked like a UFC fight. I'm like, Smart, that does not look good for you. It's a bad look, and what the hell are you doing, to be honest with you? But I also felt Marcus Smart. There were stretches in the game where at least I felt his impact. I felt like he was in the game. And then Jake LaRavia, I saw a lot of, where's Dorian Finney-Smith? Those were the three players in a nutshell. Ayton, nobody impressed, disappointed. Marcus Smart, I felt your presence, but also making mistakes at times where you're like, what are you doing? And Jake LaRavia, where's Dorian Finney-Smith? Those were the three Laker debuts that we had yesterday. I'll go back to Ayton because I do think that's the most critical one for the Lakers this upcoming season. 10 points and 6 rebounds. Quiet 34 minutes for DeAndre Ayton. Guys, Ayton played 34 minutes yesterday without LeBron on the floor. Really the only center that the Lakers have, the only real impact player from a big perspective. 10 and 6? 10 and 6 for DeAndre Ayton? I mean, you double his stats, 20 and 12. All right, don't double him. Add another 30%. Let's just say he's at 15 and 9. I would tell you, all right, that's an okay game for him. That's not enough. And you're playing the Warriors who don't have the size. What happens on Friday night when you take on the Minnesota Timberwolves and they can throw Rudy Gobert and they could throw Naz Reid and they could throw Jaden McDaniels and they could throw Julius Randle and they could throw Anthony Edwards? I know not all these guys are 7-footers. The point I'm making is they got size. Will you become less relevant in a game like that? I mean, if there's a game where we should be feeling DeAndre Ayton's presence, isn't that against the Golden State Warriors? Isn't it a game like this? One of the things, and I'm not trying to make any comparisons to AD, and frankly, AD's gone, so there's no reason to talk about him. But one of the things we always knew, and one of the reasons why we always knew the Lakers will eventually beat the Golden State Warriors, they had no answer for AD. They had no answer for the Lakers big. And Anthony Davis wasn't doing this against every team out there, but he would feast against the Warriors. Yeah, that ain't enough. Now, Ayton had some positive things to say in the post game, and he's like, "Look, we're moving in the right direction." To be honest with you, I thought a lot of the interviews in the post game too, nobody was overly concerned. It's like, all right, yeah, we lost the first game, we'll move on, we'll be fine. That's the vibe that I got from the post game yesterday, listening to the interviews while I was doing the show. But that was really disappointing for DeAndre Ayton because a lot of us know that the Lakers, there's no risk in signing DeAndre Ayton. A lot of people think the Lakers did the best they could in the offseason with the resources that they have and not adding all this crazy money to their roster and multiple years and everything. You got Ayton in the buyout market. What's the risk? Well, there is no risk, but there are expectations. And I think for Ayton to get 10 points and 6 rebounds in his Laker debut against the Golden State Warriors, you got more nights like that coming. Yeah, the mic's only going to get louder and the criticism's only going to be louder in regards to what he was able to do last night for the Lakers. So that's my just quick thoughts on Ayton. And I'll do Smart and LaRavia here real quick as well. We'll just kind of do all three of those players, but that ain't going to cut it. And I don't think there's one person that was watching the Lakers yesterday that truly felt his impact. He's not a player. I mean, you want him to get angry. You want him to be more of a real 7-foot frame down in the block representing the Lakers. And really, he's got this I want to play finesse basketball, and I don't think the Lakers need finesse basketball. Now, the beauty with his game is he has some finesse to it. He can have some floaters. He can get some touches right around the paint, and he can face the basket and hit a 15-foot jumper if he needs to. That's great. You want that part of his game. Not enough players. There's too many. I always say this. There are a lot of bigs that they're just not basketball players. They're athletes. Jackson Hayes, he's not a basketball player. Jackson Hayes is not a guy that can hit a 14-footer off the glass. He can hit the glass. He ain't making the shot. DeAndre Ayton's more of a basketball player. But you want some finesse, but you also want a little bit of angry Ayton. You want a player that's pushing people out of the way. Getting a couple offensive fouls, that's okay. We didn't see that in that first game for the Lakers. Marcus Smart, real quick. Marcus Smart, I thought, it's going to be interesting. I was reading some comments yesterday. And there were some people out there talking about Marcus Smart. They're basically saying like, hey, this guy has to be, I think the saying was, a lot of people are saying, at least he's given heart. At least he's throwing his body all over the place. I think they liked his energy. That doesn't mean that he was great, but listen, he wasn't terrible. I mean, I think Marcus Smart's going to obviously try to do everything he can, night in, night out basis, anything to win. Will take offensive fouls. Will throw his body all over the place. But probably needs to kind of control himself a little bit. Hasn't played in maybe a more meaningful game in a while, so I'm sure that's going to take him. That's going to give him a second. But I saw some moments with Marcus Smart where it was like, all right, yeah, that's the Marcus Smart that we're all accustomed to. And then the last player, like I mentioned, Jake LaRavia, really a non-factor. 5 points, 3 rebounds, 2 of 4 from the field. Played 16 minutes, and he's going to be compared to, whether people want to do it or they don't. There's going to be comparisons to. Well, would you rather have Jake LaRavia or would you rather have Dorian Finney-Smith? That's going to be there. That's definitely going to be there this season. DFS signs with the Houston Rockets. Lakers don't really make a push for him. They signed Jake LaRavia because he's younger and he's cheaper. So that's going to come as well. So those were the 3 debuts for players. And I think the one that's most critical, most important, not to undervalue the other players, but I think we all agree. Yeah, Ayton's going to have to get his. Ayton's going to have to be a critical player for the Lakers. And if he's not, they're going to have a lot of, they're going to have a lot of issues this year. Okay, let's take a look at the comments. Let's take a look. LaRavia has been a huge disappointment. Not in one game. I mean, we just cannot we cannot take anything one game in for, especially a guy like Jake LaRavia. Like, LaRavia is going to take some time. It's going to take a second. I don't think my expectations for Jake LaRavia aren't very high, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. And I'm not 100% sure what he's going to do and how critical he's going to be for the Lakers. I have no idea. I know DFS had impact. I know Dorian Finney-Smith had impact. The only thing I didn't like about DFS is I wasn't trying to give him 4 years. Now, I think he's only 2 years guaranteed with the Rockets. If Lakers could have given him 2 years, I'd have preferred to have DFS because of his age, his experience, battle tested, has been in the playoffs a number of years. Lakers obviously went a different route. But LaRavia is going to need time. The difference with Jake LaRavia and a guy like DeAndre Ayton is LaRavia is not, LaRavia doesn't have, he definitely doesn't have 6 years of experience and battle tested and all these opportunities in the playoffs kind of go up and down this list of what Jake LaRavia is, right? DeAndre Ayton does. So you're going to naturally have different expectations for Ayton than you're going to have for LaRavia. Marcus Smart almost injured Curry for the season. Yeah, when it happened in real time, I was like, oh, offensive foul, no big deal. And then I watched it again and I'm like, Smart, what are you doing? What are you doing? And of all players, Steph, yeah, that's not a good look. They went back, they reviewed it, and listen, I want an enforcer on the Lakers. I want somebody that's going to show some heart and some fight. I want that. Lakers definitely need it. What I think everybody would agree with me that we don't need is, we don't need the Marcus Smart to be known as a player that's taking a cheap shot at another player, or somebody gets injured and is out for a significant amount of time. And it happened because of Marcus Smart. Not looking for that either. Definitely not looking for that. Ayton is marshmallow soft. Not good. Ayton is not going to average more than 12 points per game, 8 rebounds. What's an ideal stat line for? I'll tell you ideal. Ideal for DeAndre Ayton. And I don't even know if I mean this ideal. They need to have it. You need 16 and 8 a game from Ayton. And then you need to have some nights where he had 20 and 10. That's what they need from Ayton. I don't think 16 and 8 is a lot to ask for. I really don't. But if he's now giving you 16 and 8 a night, then I don't think Ayton's, hey, I could be playing for my last contract. I'm here to prove everybody wrong. I don't know how much of a sell that's going to be to other teams after this year. 16 and 8 asking for too much from Ayton? I don't think I don't think so at all. I really don't think so at all. I mean, if If he's having trouble giving you 16 and 8, then, that's a whole different conversation. Ayton will be fine. Luka has to not be so aggressive as a scorer. Yeah, I go back to this, and I do think it's important to point out in regards to, the Luka piece. He's going to be asked to do so much without LeBron, and just because of the roster, that even in a night where he gives you 43, 12, and 9 and shoots efficiently, we're still going to be critical about his game and say, yeah, but you gotta get more players involved. That's how much is on Luka's shoulders. And I don't care about is there too much on Luka's shoulders? No, I think he's comfortable with that. Can Luka handle the bright lights? Yeah, I think he's fine there. But what Luka is going to have to figure out is, how can I basically dissect another team and their coaching staff on a night in, night out basis to give the Lakers a chance to win some games? That's kind of the reality of the situation. All right, I want to keep going. I want to talk about the rest of the role players for the Lakers, and then talk a little bit about LeBron. Got some stuff around the NBA that I want to do as well. Before I do so, shout out to our guy. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. I mentioned this a couple of times, and I always ask Brad, hey, Brad, can you give me some examples when you're in the courtroom? I want to give our listeners real personal life stories that's happening with the Wallace firm and their experience. About a month ago, an auto insurance company made a $1.25 million offer to one of Brad's clients whose case was going to trial in Palm Springs. But after Brad Wallace selected the jury and delivered his opening statement, the insurance company decided to pay Brad's full $2 million demand before the first witness was called to the stand. That's how you execute and win. And Lakers take some notes here from Brad Wallace. The Wallace firm is built for trial and deliveries and delivers serious results on serious injury and wrongful death cases. If you or someone you know is in a serious situation, I highly, highly, highly encourage you to reach out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, and they can definitely try to help you guys in whatever situation that you're in. We got a URL that we created, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, or you can click on my link in the description. Absolutely free consultation. Met up with Brad yesterday. Of course, he's at opening night of the Lakers. He's there with his son. We caught up for a little bit. I'll be at his studio tomorrow that I'm looking forward to. I'll do the show from there. And thank you to Brad for his support. Again, hope you guys never need him. Things happen in life. If you need him, you got somebody that you can rely on, and somebody that definitely has impacted my channel by being such a great partner of the channel. All right, let's keep moving here. Do you guys remember, and I'm pretty sure you guys remember this, do you guys remember during the preseason, just a couple days ago, probably even yesterday, I said two of the highlights for the Lakers, we got their starting lineup. Obviously, we got it right before the game started. But two of the highlights for the Lakers was Gabe Vincent and Jared Vanderbilt in the preseason. Gabe Vincent worked his way actually into the starting lineup, made a case for himself. Do I think he's still going to be the starter against the Warriors? I don't. I'd be surprised if he still is. I'd be confused if he still is. Anyways, we'll see what happens in regards to that. But both of those players had phenomenal performances, and Vando looked healthy, and Gabe kept hitting threes and started a preseason game 5 for 5, shot 55% from the three-point line. These were the two players you're walking into and saying, oh, this is interesting. If Gabe can be the player that he's yet to be the first 2 years with the Lakers, if Vando can be healthy and kind of bring what he brings to the table, that intensity, that ability to impact the game without necessarily needing to score. All right, let me give you both of how Jared Vanderbilt and Gabe Vincent did yesterday. Okay? Both players, 1 for 8 from the field, 1 for 6 from the three-point line, 3 rebounds total, 3 points total. 3 points and 3 rebounds between Jared Vanderbilt and Gabe Vincent yesterday. I mean, complete no-shows. Okay, maybe one night you have a bad night. That's fine. My bigger issue is, and by the way, Rui doesn't belong in this, but Rui's not far from this. Rui Hachimura played his typical game. We'll get to him in a second. But Gabe Vincent and Jared Vanderbilt, I didn't even know Gabe Vincent was in the game for most of the game yesterday. The only reason why I knew Vando was in the game is because he had a quick stretch where they left him open for threes, something that I've mentioned before if I'm another team, and I keep hearing about, Vando's, he's hitting them in practice. For sure. Yeah, go ahead and go see what Steph. You think Steve Kerr is going to say, hey, I heard Vando's hitting threes in practice. We should really close out on him. The only impact I saw from Vando was when he took a three from the right baseline and he shot it 4 feet to the left of the rim. And then the next possession went hard to the basket and just lost the ball out of bounds. That's the only time I remember seeing Vando. I don't remember anything from Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent, I don't remember anything. I remember more from the ball boy yesterday, the statistician, than I do from Gabe Vincent. I genuinely do not remember anything from Gabe Vincent yesterday. This, I think, goes back to what, I said to start the show. In order for the Lakers to be successful, the only way it's going to happen without LeBron and when LeBron comes back, guys, you got to have balance. You got to have multiple guys contribute. Maybe the good news yesterday is there really was no role player that contributed. They only had 2 players. Yeah, Ayton had 10. 3 players scored in double figures, and that means Ayton just barely got to 10. It was really, really disappointing to see Gabe yesterday. It was really disappointing to see Vando yesterday. And you guys know me. I was the guy that was making the case for Vando to be in the starting lineup. But that's obviously with LeBron, so less focus on, offense for Vando. And I do think you need balance on the defensive side. Lakers gave up almost 120 yesterday. There's no recipe to win if that's going to be the case. I'm not a fan of them trying to outscore teams. That's not what's going to get it done. So with all that in mind, just seeing those 2 players and how much I thought they impacted during the preseason, and then see the lack of impact that they had yesterday was highly, highly, highly disappointing. All right, I'm going to let you guys kind of give me some of these next few topics here, and then we'll continue to go from there. Let's see what we got here. Warriors changed their defense and let Luka eat, knowing everyone else would be cold. That's why they stopped blitzing. Yeah, they did that in the first half, a little bit blitz. And then, even second half, they kind of did a little bit of, we'll do a little bit, not that much. I mean, listen, if I'm a team on the other side and there's a superstar that can drop 40 in a game, I would always prefer the superstar getting 40 and me focusing on everybody else not getting theirs. Always. There is I think it's very, how do I describe this? Contagious both ways. When one player is shooting and doing all the scoring, it's contagious for everyone else to kind of stand around and watch and not feel like they're in any rhythm. It's also contagious when your superstar is dishing out dimes left and right, getting everybody else involved, and a couple role players hit buckets, and then it feels like a couple more hit buckets, and it's contagious from that perspective. So I think the Warriors did exactly what they. By the way, there's a quote here. I have it here. I have the quote. You want to know why? Because I'm a respected journalist, okay? I'm not even a journalist. I'm a broadcaster. But something I disagree with, and to be honest with you, if I'm the Golden State Warriors, I'm grabbing this quote, and before the next game the Lakers play the Warriors, I'm going to say, hey, I just want you to know how JJ Redick thinks of you guys, your performance, and this team. Here's what JJ said. He said, we make a run. We got 2 guys back. Buddy Hield gets a wide open 3 for some reason on a full court pass. Those are self-inflicted things. So it's not anything Golden State did to us. When I heard that yesterday, I'm like, oh, interesting. So Golden State gets no credit for their game plan, winning by 10, ball movement, Jimmy Butler getting to the free throw line, Buddy Hield getting looks. constant cutting and passing, their defensive strategy on Laker role players, they get no credit at all. Yeah, I'm taking hey guys, just a heads up. This is what JJ Redick thought of everyone's performance from the Warriors. So it's not anything Golden State did to us. I'm grabbing that bad boy. That's some good material. It's the Warriors. Warriors know what they're doing. Warriors understand how to play the game of basketball. Warriors understand how to be effective. I mean, I give the Golden State Warriors a little bit more credit than it was nothing they did. I mean, if Vando just hits his corner three, then the Lakers are fine. I don't know if that's the strategy I'm taking. Let's get another one here from Jason. You're right, Jason. I haven't said anything about Austin Reeves. Why are you not talking about Austin? He was getting cooked all game, didn't get teammates involved, taking crazy shots. There was a stretch where the offense was so bad. And the stretch was, honestly, it was when Luka went to the bench. And now it was kind of Austin Reeves trying to orchestrate the offense. It's going to take time. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Lakers are going to have everything figured out in the first day or so. But I think my take on Austin's night last night, 5 turnovers, 5 fouls. The impact he did have was late, and I thought the game was really already decided. So a couple and ones at 3. I thought his numbers were actually kind of, I don't know. I don't think they really truly represented his performance. But I think the Austin piece is not why they lost. I think it's all the other players that I pointed out not having an impact in the game. And listen, defensively, I don't think we're ever going to be standing here and saying, did you see how great Austin was on the defensive end? That ain't going to change. That's just going to come with the territory. And unless there's other people that are picking up the slack on defense, then that's just kind of going to be what it is. And I think that portion is true. All right, a lot of comments today. People feeling it today. This is crazy. We need Luka to be perfect and shoot the exact right amount of shots despite going 15 to 17 for 2 because Ayton needs more touches. Yeah, Luka didn't do anything wrong yesterday. I mean, if you think the Lakers lost the game yesterday because of Luka, then there is basically not a game Luka can win for you if that's the case. I think the point people are trying to make, myself included, is not that Luka needs to do more. It's how do you attack the Warriors? Is it more from I'm going to get mine, or is it more from, and by the way, the Warriors are also a little smart on this as well. They're going to be strategic and say, okay, cool. Well, you know what? Let's let Luka go one-on-one and let him have to score on Jonathan Kuminga and some of these other players that got good size and everything else. We just want to contain some of the other players. My point is more that all the other players are going to have to contribute or Lakers just aren't going to win consistently. Okay, I want to keep moving here. By the way, thank you, man. Look at all these comments. Wild how involved everybody typically is in this chat. So I appreciate you guys doing that. Thank you very much for doing so. Season's not over. Guys, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. I'm not telling you they're going to go win a championship, but what I am telling you is they will get better. They will get better. Okay, let's keep moving here. But, you know, I was reading this. What did ESPN have Lakers at number 7 in the Western Conference? Who are all the teams that were in front of them? OKC, I'll go in order. OKC, Denver, Houston, Clippers, Minnesota, Golden State. There's your 6. Then Lakers would be 7th. So that's where they had everybody. Could I ask somebody, and I didn't notice this, but I was reading some stories earlier. What was I missing here by being at the game and not getting a chance to watch the game on TV? And then, you know, obviously the camera goes to the bench and this and that. What was I missing about LeBron yesterday? Because the stories that I was reading was his energy or something like that. I want you guys to fill me in on that. Because the stories I was reading this morning had more to do with that he wasn't really engaged. He wasn't really all that involved, that he was just stoic very quiet. And there were some tweets out there that was like, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but why is LeBron so not involved in the game? It's not the angle I'm taking. I want to talk about LeBron and, obviously not having him in the game, what kind of impact that has or lack of impact that has. But you guys can chime in on that because, like I said, when you're at a game, there's a lot of things you tend to miss when you don't have just the TV doing all the work for you, the broadcasters doing all the work for you, or you're on social and you see people, all right, what's trending or what are they talking about in this game, and you could see it. But you guys can fill me in on that front because I was not there. Here's what I can tell you. And I will look at some of these comments in a second here and go from there. Here's what I can tell you specifically about the impact of no LeBron. And I try to make this point because I think it's important. I think people are all over the place on LeBron. Let me tell you. I think there's some people that are. I'll give you all the emotions and the feelings that I get from Laker fans when it comes to LeBron. I get the, oh my God, I can't believe we're spending 50 plus million. I saw something today that was 60 million. They were throwing Bronny's contract into LeBron as well. You can't have 60 million of your payroll be taken seriously if they're going to these two guys. Obviously, LeBron taking 50 and change. I got other people saying, I'm looking forward to seeing what the Lakers look like without LeBron. I got other people saying, yeah, they just got no shot without LeBron. You got to have LeBron in that lineup. I got other people saying they should trade LeBron. I got other people saying, will the Lakers buy him out? I got other people saying, why did the Lakers give him another year? Everyone's all over the place on LeBron. Okay? I'll tell you the only thing people should pay attention to with LeBron for now. For now, the only thing you should be paying attention to is when's LeBron coming back? Because if the Lakers are going to have success this season and they're going to have any shot of competing in the Western Conference, and you want to see Luka Doncic be an MVP type of player this season, and they want to be a top 5 seed in the Western Conference, and you want to see Austin Reeves be the best version of himself, and you want to see DeAndre Ayton be the best version of himself, the only shot the Lakers have is with LeBron. So I don't think people need to jump to next year because we're not at next year. We're at today. I don't think people need to jump to the trade deadline. I don't think they need to jump to who's going to be the next superstar that comes to the Lakers. If the Lakers have any shot of competing this year, LeBron's got to be in the lineup. When I was doing the show yesterday, I was doing the postgame show. And I'm doing it from the arena. And it was kind of funny. Me and another guy were kind of competing here. There was a guy over to my left that was there from covering the Golden State Warriors. And he might have been, I couldn't tell, is it radio, podcast, I'm not, maybe both, whatever the case is. So he's doing like a post-game Warriors show. And I think there's somebody in studio. He was talking to somebody else. And when I finished the show and I was wrapping up, I'm listening to him. And he just said, and it kind of hit me. And, I don't know why it hit me, but it did. But he just said something to the effect of, they don't have enough talent. And they're going to have a lot of games like this until LeBron comes back. And I'm listening to him and I'm like, all right, let me kind of keep listening. And the point that he was trying to make, and this is a Golden State Warrior fan, and this is a Warrior, obviously somebody breaking it down from a Warriors perspective, but he just kept saying, he's like, yeah, I'm watching the game. How are they going to hang with the Warriors when LeBron's sitting on the sidelines? I really, really think there is not a benefit to talking about what the Lakers are going to be a year from now. I don't think there's a benefit to talking about what the Lakers are going to be without LeBron or if this is final year of the Lakers. I just don't think there's a benefit. There's a time and place for it. I just don't think it's today. What I saw yesterday, and I couldn't agree more with the dude that was doing the Warriors post game yesterday. I couldn't agree more with him. They just don't have enough talent. Think about the names that we're mentioning that the Lakers are going to depend on until LeBron comes back. Can Ayton really be depended on night in and night out? Yet to be seen. Can you depend on Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, and Jared Vanderbilt night in and night out? The answer is no, you cannot. When LeBron does come back, and the hope is obviously he is healthy, and if it's mid-November or whatever the case is, all of a sudden that makes everybody's life on that roster easier, including JJ Redick. And I'm not even here to tell you that LeBron is the savior, but what I'm telling you is this team can't truly do anything without LeBron. Just like if Luka was out, just like if, what's kind of crazy about this, but last year they didn't have a big and they had LeBron and Luka and it still didn't matter. So they're going to need a lot of pieces to obviously fit in place. They're going to need a lot of pieces to be impactful, but you cannot be missing LeBron and think like, no big deal. Yeah. Luka's going to cook. Luka's going to cook. They're still going to lose. So that was my observation in regards to no LeBron. Now, the part about the body language and everything else, let me see here. Let's get a couple of these. The team is not built to make up ground in the standings, and they'll have to make up ground when Bron returns, if Bron decides to return. Bron will return. I want to go back to what people were saying about LeBron. Give me 1 second. It says LeBron was looking like he was at a funeral, not at opening night game. Camera shots showed, this is what I was saying about, what people were talking about LeBron. Camera shots showed LeBron looking disengaged. Okay. Let's see more here of just, again, I'm trying to figure out what the interpretation was of LeBron, that he wasn't very vocal, this and everything else. He and Bronny were exactly that. Stoic, disengaged, huge diva vibe. Yeah, he didn't look like he was having a great time, but I chalked it up as bad timing for the camera. I will say if there's something to make of that, that's kind of going to be the season, right? That whatever LeBron does, oh my gosh, what does this mean? Oh my gosh, what does that mean? That's going to be the season. Tomorrow, I'm looking forward to tomorrow's show. I'm going to have Dave McMenamin's going to join the show. And, having Dave on, somebody that, obviously has covered LeBron for a long time, he's been asking some very interesting and I think questions that a lot of people want to know in regards to LeBron's future. He's asked over some of the pressers early on, get his opinion if he, noticed anything from regards to that. LeBron not cheering or being mad at the game shows you how much he is invested in this team. Listen, none of us can read into anything, but this is what's going to happen. Everybody's going to try to read into everything. I mean, if I'm being honest, makes for a good podcast topic. Let's get another one in here. I'm not going to keep saying this. The Lakers should trade for Kuminga now while his value is low, and the Warriors want to trade. By the end of the year, his price is going to go up. Kuminga had a nice night last night. Super aggressive, very engaged, and I do think they're going to end up trading him. Those negotiations in the offseason, the fact that if he does get traded, the contract that they have, they can rip up that contract. I think it's just a matter of time until they do trade him. I don't think it's going to be with the Lakers. I don't. All right, let's get some more comments, a little bit more from what everybody was saying in regards to kind of my thoughts in regards to you just can't win without LeBron. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to you, Raider Rubin. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you being in here. That's bullshit, Slee. I don't even know which comment I made that was bullshit. I'm not 100% sure, but I do appreciate your passion. Sorry, Slee, disagree with you. If LeBron is going to be there, then support the freaking team. Well, I don't think our argument was, my conversation wasn't he needs to be more engaged. That's not my conversation. My conversation is everyone's all over the place and has an opinion on LeBron, and the only opinion that really matters is the Lakers need LeBron. They need him this year. I don't know if he's going to play after this season. But if anyone's making an argument that they don't need LeBron, he's under contract. They need LeBron. Okay, maybe he's not still top 10 player in the league. Let's just say he's top 20 in the league. Do you need a top 20 player on your roster to be there every night? Of course they do. All right, let's keep going here. All right, let's get this one. Don't know if anyone, by the way, I really try to emphasize this. I got no problem when people disagree. So I think there's it's actually a healthy conversation. If you genuinely disagree with me on something, just put it in the chat. We'll have that conversation. We'll try to go back and forth. Sometimes I miss you guys can see all the comments that are coming in. So sometimes it's a little bit more difficult for me to see them. Don't know if anyone knows the difficulty with sciatica, but that's a hell of a problem that can go up and down. It's a nagging and painful issue once it rears its ugly head. I actually, and this is maybe just me, but I didn't know NBA players, like, that's the thing. And maybe this just kind of shows LeBron's age. All right, let's go towards the bottom here because there's no way I'm going to be able to catch up with everything. All the LeBron attention and anger should be directed towards Rob Pelinka and JJ to an extent. Some Laker fans are sick of him not winning nothing with him anyway. Oh, I don't think some. I think there's a lot of Laker fans and NBA fans that are sick of him. I do believe that. I could tell you that firsthand. I got a lot of people over, especially over the last year, that's like, when LeBron retires, I'm going to watch the Lakers again. Honestly, I've got a lot of people that said that to me. Strangers and people that I know. So I don't think that's the most uncommon thing right there. All right. Let's keep moving here. For those, I mentioned this a couple different times, and I mentioned for those who are members of the channel, I'm going to put a link here. If you're a member of the channel, thank you for being a member. If you've yet to become a member, now that the season has started again, I am going to start exclusive content again. Today at 10 a.m., I'm going to do probably about 15, 20 minutes, something like that, right around that range with just members. I put a link in here. It's $3 a month. Expect a lot more content from me for members. So thank you for being a member. I know a lot of the people that are on here, it's not really about, I know they just do it to support the channel. So I greatly, greatly appreciate that. Thank you for doing that. 10 a.m. this morning, we're going to talk to some members as well. And we'll just hang out however long it is, 10, 15 minutes, whatever it is. We'll shoot the you-know-what for a little bit. So I put a link there in the description. Again, $3 a month. And you could just click on that. And if you're on your phone, you can just hit join and you could join as well. All right, let's keep moving here. I am going to go to the NBA real quick. I got some quick NBA news that I want to hit on, and then we'll call it a day. So thank you very much, everybody, for hanging out. And I do appreciate all the engagement today and everything else, and we'll go from there. Okay, real quick. Let me just kind of hit on a couple different things in the NBA. How good was, we got some games that are coming up tonight. How good was it last night to get a chance for all of you that were at home chilling and relaxing and enjoying the game? You got to see a phenomenal Rockets Thunder game to start off the season. By the way, I thought NBC did a really nice job on the broadcast. Really, really good job on the broadcast. You got Amazon Prime that's going to be starting as well. What is that? A Friday, I want to say Amazon Prime starts. So just something to keep in mind. The Thunder over the Rockets, 125 to 124. So 1 point double overtime game. The thing that I kind of kept going back to in this game was like, yeah, but they don't have Jalen Williams. I know I shouldn't be doing that, but Jalen Williams is such a baller and they don't have him. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander drops a 35 spot, sucked from the 3-point line, just 1 of 9. KD's First game with the Rockets, 23-9. How about Şengün? How good is he? Man, I think one of the most underrated players in the NBA. And this Rockets team, I still think is going to be a headache, even without Fred VanVleet. 39, 11, and 7 for Şengün. Doesn't matter. The big moment, taking shots to send the game into overtime or double overtime. I still understand why they had Caruso on him. Really, really great way to tip off the NBA season. And I think it's also poetic that it's the Thunder getting their rings, putting up a banner, and KD sitting there and has to watch it all. I don't know if he was watching it, but obviously at the game while that's going on. But a really, really fun game to watch. In the NBA tonight, we finally got all these other games that are going on. You know, opening night's over with. Cavs Knicks. I was on a radio station yesterday in San Diego talking some NBA. And one of the questions, there's a show down there, John and Jim. Good show. They do a phenomenal job. And one of the questions was, who comes out of the East? Not even who comes out of the East, but like, yeah, basically who comes out of the East. And I said, if it's not Cavs and Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals, and one of those two teams don't represent the Eastern Conference, then whoever didn't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, they got to break up that team. Because if you can't get to the Eastern Conference Finals this year, if you're the Cavs and the Knicks, I don't know if you're ever going to get there. And if you can't punch your ticket to the NBA Finals this year and it's one of those two teams going at it, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. But Cavs, Knicks, they'll start. It's an ESPN game. That's going to be a fun game. A couple other games I just kind of am looking at from a matchup perspective. Spurs, Mavericks, that should be fun. That's another game on ESPN. So those are the two games on ESPN. Those are the two best matchups to start as we get ready to start the season. So something to keep in mind from an NBA perspective there. And as, you know, kind of the show goes on, we'll start chiming in from an NBA perspective more, looking at some of the games. What's the West doing? I'm going to definitely have people that are going to be coming on that are also NBA focused. I'm going to try to have people on when the Lakers are about to play the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm going to try to have a Timberwolves guy. And so I'm going to be very strategic with how I do it this year as well. So we're obviously going to have a lot of NBA content on here. All right, let me look at a couple comments and then we'll get ready to wrap up the show. Let me give a shout out here. We got a new member, Lakers Visuals. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you being a member. Thank you very, very much for being a member. Like I mentioned, if you guys want to be a member show coming up at 10 a.m. I want to do something with members as well. I want to pick some games and do a kind of a little bit of a watch party, but I'm talking about live on the stream. So I'm going to be trying to coordinate that. I'm going to get a lot of members, you know, opinions and thoughts of kind of how to do that, which game to pick. Just want to make it a lot more of an intimate setting with the members. That's going to be the goal this year. Okay. Lakers Visuals. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you being a member. Thank you very much. Seiko, since postseason, JJ and the Lakers seem underprepared. Seiko, that's a good point. It's a good point. Yeah. I mean, you know, if I walked away, there's a couple things I walked away from when the Lakers played the Minnesota Timberwolves. One of the things I walked away from, and I think a lot of people did as well, I walked away with this Lakers team, or I'm sorry, JJ Redick getting out coached in the playoffs. Is that a fair thing to walk away from? I think it's fair. So that's one of the things that I walked away from. So I think when you say underprepared, yeah, I'm okay with that. But they gave him an extension. Give him an extension. Why? Why? What's the rush on the extension? You already have 3 years left. Let this year play out. Then after this year, you can figure it out. But no, Lakers already, obviously that extension with JJ Redick, multi-year extension, if I might add. Okay, final thing I got here, and we'll get out of here. A little bit later this afternoon, and I can't share too much details yet, so I'll try to figure out how I share it with everybody on YouTube, but got some news coming on the show and the channel that I'm highly, highly looking forward to sharing with everybody. And I'll probably be able to share it a little bit later this afternoon. But yes, I am teasing it. Yes, I'm going to leave you guys on a little bit of a cliffhanger, like what the hell is he talking about? But, you know, nothing too crazy, but good stuff for the channel and good stuff for the show. and kind of important to the vision that I've always kind of had in mind. So this afternoon, I'll probably share some more information about it, or at the latest, I'll just share, in the morning when I'm back on at 8 a.m. So something to keep in mind, but I think definitely some great help for the channel and everything else. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. I will say, however that happens, it's because of the channel and the support and people that have been on this channel for a number of years, or since I started going Monday through Friday, just obviously people interested in talking Lakers and NBA. So that's all I got for today. I really appreciate you guys being on part of the show. I think I could throw away all my notes. What is this here? Why do I have 2 full pages of notes? When did I start taking this much notes? Thank you for being a part of the show. I greatly appreciate it. Members, come back on at 10 a.m. Let's shoot the you-know-what for a little bit and talk a little bit about what the game plan is this year with members and how I can make sure that everybody is happy to be a member and is not just a member because they want to support the channel. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day, and look forward to a chat with you guys soon. And I'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Dave McMenamin on tomorrow morning. I'll be at the Wallace firm. Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. I'll be at their studios, and we'll go from there. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.